For me, I personally think a lot of pushback on comes from the fact that people look at this roster on paper. You have Eminem, J. Cole, Future, Metro. I mean, these are veterans.
You have veterans.
How dare you?
When I try to put people onto a certain artist, I'll show them their profile. They'll take a look at their monthly Spotify listeners. And if that is not over 1 million, they won't even bother.
That's lame, actually.
All of a sudden, they blow up 3 months later. Suddenly, they want to start listening.
I feel like our generation, the way we consume social media, we kind of don't know what is legitimate anymore. When we're growing up, we would see an artist on our TVs, you know, premiering their music videos, or we would see them on billboards. But nowadays, since it's social media and because we also use social media, it's a little different.
When a song blows up there with an artist that someone might not be familiar with on the outside of a particular bubble, they'll start to say, I've never heard of this artist before. It must be an industry plant, because how do you have X amount of streams? This can't be possible.
People are using words every day that people really don't know the meaning of. Like, there is a literacy problem.
There are certain people who get upset when they've never heard of an artist before and they suddenly win a Grammy Award. And they're like, who is this?
Do you think people really believe that she's an industry plant? Because people aren't really used to seeing that trajectory, they're automatically skeptical.
That's the thing. Is there a problem with the label doing its job?
Hi, my name is Elsie.
And this is Nosa, and this is For the Record
on Wax. So we're both basically here today doing this. I'm so excited because we both love music. At least you love music as much as I do, which is a cool thing.
Yes, and we love commentating on it. And we've seen a lot of things circulating on social media around certain topics, and we could not just keep our mouth shut. We had to say a little something.
Definitely. Every episode of this show, we don't know what to call it yet. You know, podcast is not a podcast. You know, every episode, we're going to peel back a music topic that's been sitting heavily on our timelines and try to make sense of all the chaos.
Yes. Today is going to be a topic that has been on our timelines for many months now.
On your timelines, too.
Yes. And it is industry plants. And it's going to be an industry plant or product of the industry. This has been something that's been very heavily circulating around artists like Doechii, Tyla, Pink Pantress.
Right.
And we just want to set the record straight here.
Now, we're not going to tell you what to think, what to believe, but I personally, and I feel like Nosa shares the same opinion, but this term has been overused to the point where it's kind of lost its meaning. So we need a factory reset.
I think we need to start with what even is an industry plant?
Right.
What does that even mean to you?
I feel like there's the meaning of what it means to me and just what it actually is, you know? So going back to the original definition, an industry plant used to mean someone that pretended to be independent while secretly getting major label backing.
Yes, lots.
That's what it used to be.
But now we've kind of changed that meaning to something different, of an artist getting push largely in marketing, and because they've been blown up in the past span of a few months, we automatically see them blow up on our timeline and we say that, oh, this can't be, they're suddenly an industry plant. And I think we need to peel back those layers and really think, are they industry plants or do they just have good marketing from their labels?
Why do you think that this term industry plant has had such a huge resurgence? Because honestly, like, that term has existed for like decades now, but recently it's just become this thing. Everyone's like, industry plant, industry. So personally, why do you think?
I know. The reason is because of streaming. It's because we have too much access to numbers. We have too much access to what first week sales are, et cetera, and we now see push specifically on like platforms like Spotify, where we can see someone's monthly Spotify listeners go from
0 to 100
to 40 million, and we're like, oh, this can't be. The marketing is too good, and suddenly they're industry plans. And I think that negates someone's talent, and we forget that music is still art, and we need to not really put someone to that standard of someone being, oh, they're good because of their streaming and good because actually their music is good.
I think streaming is one aspect. I think another aspect is just social media. We're so used to following people's journeys on social media that whenever that journey isn't as apparent, people are like, something is sketchy here.
But you know what? I find that interesting that you say that, because when you think about artists like Doechii, who that term industry plant has just been haunting her. It's interesting.
Haunting is the right word.
But that's the right word. Like, it's been haunting her.
But then
it's interesting because her entire story is on social media.
But that's what I want to say. So one thing I realized in the past year is that we're all in bubbles. I think we're so tempted to feel like, you know, we just know everything on social media. We're keeping up with all the artists. But I've learned and it's been a humbling experience, because it's like there's bubbles of the internet that I've never touched, and I might never touch, you know. And then you have people coming from other bubbles of the internet, and they're like, I never heard of Doechii before. Yeah. Meanwhile, on my bubble of the internet, I've been seeing Doechii since like 2021. Yeah. You know, if you listen to like Isaiah Rashad's album, she was on there. She had hits, literally. Album. Right. So like, from my perspective, she's always been there. But someone else on another side of the internet has been like, industry plant. She must be, like, where did she come from?
Exactly.
Doechii is such an interesting case study.
I don't even know if we're putting the word industry plant on her because it's true, or because we actually think that, or because we just might not.
Do you think people really believe that she's an industry plant?
I think some people, yes.
Why do you think that?
I think because, like you said, the bubbles. There are certain people who get upset when they've never heard of an artist before and they suddenly win a Grammy Award. And they're like, who is this?
Yeah.
And I don't think that's fair for artists who have obviously worked so hard to get where
there.
They are.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
especially, and we talked about the other aspect of marketing. And that's an issue that I'm really starting to see. I feel like our generation, the way we consume social media, we kind of don't know what is legitimate anymore. We kind of don't know how record labels work, what promotion is, what marketing is, because marketing has really changed. When we're growing up, we would see an artist on our TVs, you know, premiering their music videos, or we would see them on billboards, like, we're driving outside, we see an artist on billboards. But nowadays, since it's social media, and because we also use social media, it's a little different. You know, people are like, oh my God, that's definitely a paid promotion. Why is that artist, like, they're definitely like botting their likes on social media, or they're botting their streams and stuff like that, when in reality, there's always been marketing.
Yes.
You know, I feel like people aren't really used to that.
Yeah, and like it kind of comes down to people not willing to get to know an artist and get to know the music and kind of step into that realm that the artist has created because of preconceived notions that you've heard on social media and running with that commentary. So it kind of sucks for artists who really push and promote their work and believe in it.
It really does.
And that's why I say, like, as much as it's not the industry's fault or the label's fault or like social commentators and fans, it all kind of plays a role in how people just kind of run with certain terms and they don't know the meaning of it. And when we go back to Doechii, I think something that really started showing up on my timeline post her Grammy win was seeing Doechii's sales from when she dropped her mixtape to after the Grammys. And the first week, I think she only had like 11K sales the first week. And the trajectory up until like the Grammys, she now had like millions. And I think that's what really piqued people's like interest in saying, this doesn't sound right. But if you were looking at Doechii's marketing throughout after her mixtape dropped,
that's what I want to say.
It's very important to recognize that she didn't drop an album or drop a project and call it a day.
That you know, that makes all the difference. I feel like, first of all, the first week sales conversation
is silly.
It's very silly because, first of all, I listened to Alligator Bites Never Heal. I was like, this is amazing. I actually
The
did
day
not
it
care
dropped.
what it sold.
I don't
Like, I actually did not care. So when I saw 11K first week, I think people don't really realize that in this age, there's really a few artists that are selling more than 100K. It's not a
really
usual.
something.
It's not really that usual. Like the people that are selling more than 100K are like established artists, legacy artists that have been in the
lots of
game for a
label
long
push.
time. But then you said something that was really interesting and saying that she dropped this project and she didn't just call it a day. She was performing all the time. She was coming to share her songs. Like she kept pushing the singles, and because
She was
of that,
going
like,
to like industry events, like you
she was performing
saw her
everywhere
all the time. Like you could not escape her face.
Exactly.
And people who might not have necessarily listened to Alligator Bites Never Heal started to see her face in these large spaces that might start to make them tap into her music and say, okay, who really is this? Oh, she's an artist. Oh, she's a rapper. Let me tap into her last project that she just dropped. So,
and let's not forget that she had a hit song too.
yes.
Denial is a River was, you know, when I clocked that this was really a hit? So I was back home for Christmas. I have a sister that's 13. She just turned 13, so she was 12. My sister, like, never, this is a 12-year-old. So let's just get that straight first. And she was singing, like, because it was playing on my phone. I think that's when Doechii dropped the music video. And she was, like, singing bar for bar. I was looking at my 12-year-old sister like, huh? Like, this is great. And that's when it really dawned on me that, oh my God, this is a hit song. You know, and everyone was just talking about it. And if you're very familiar, going back to the streaming numbers thing, when you have a hit song, what happens? Your streaming numbers go up.
And I think it's also important to note that this is not her first hit song.
Thank you.
It's not.
Definitely.
In fact, I don't even think it's done as much numbers as
what it is. Ho, what's up?
Yeah. I don't think it.
There was also another one,
knew.
Persuasive, though.
Persuasive with SZA.
I think that's even when I personally discovered Doechii.
I think mine was like when she had her Colors show.
Oh yeah, that
when she had
stressed. Yeah, that was the one.
That's when I tapped in.
So I feel like there's this disconnect with the audience just not really understanding what putting out music and pushing it is. We're so used to people like putting out music, marketing for maybe the first couple weeks, and by marketing I mean very lazy marketing. Probably like sponsor posts,
album cover, the title track, the
cryptic
tracks,
Instagram posts. You know, tweet for like a couple
with
weeks,
like some emojis.
Exactly, and it's like
album
okay.
soon.
And after album drops, it's like, how do y'all feel about this album? We talk about it for a couple weeks. So we're so used to seeing albums these days coming and going.
Yes.
It's actually more common than albums actually staying.
Actually leaving a legacy behind.
And I think that longevity, because she tripled her first week sales 6 months in.
Yep.
And I think that's a lesson itself. But because people aren't really used to seeing that trajectory, they're automatically skeptical.
And I think it also comes down to an artist really believing in themselves and believing that what they've made is special. When she had like her swamp sessions prior to the release,
that was a beautiful rollout like strategy.
So one of my favorites of last year, like
100%.
You could tell that she knew she had something like really special in the palm of her hand.
Exactly.
And she wasn't just going to let y'all have it fly
just,
under her radar.
Right.
Like she wants y'all to listen to this really amazing body of work that then had industry recognition. And it's when she won that Grammy, I knew people were going to start hating on her.
I'm going to say something a little controversial, but out of all the people that were nominated, let's go back to people that were nominated. So
okay. It was like Common and Pete Rock had the Auditorium Volume Run.
Metro Boomin,
Future. J. Cole's.
Eminem. Slim Shady. So we're looking at all these albums now. Okay, My Delete Later, J. Cole. He treated that like a Lucy.
I thought he actually was going to delete it later.
That's what I'm saying. Like, he barely spoke about it. I mean, he's J. Cole.
I don't think he really did speak about it.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
the whole circulation of the beef kind of spoke for him with it.
But apart from that, like, it was a surprise drop. He barely did any promo. In fact, the promo that J. Cole really did last year wasn't focused on Might Delete Later. He had that really cool podcast that he did, and then he did the whole 2014 Forest Hills Drive anniversary.
Yeah.
So
but it had nothing to do with Might Delete Later.
He never spoke about it.
Yeah.
It was a good album. It had good raps. I have nothing against it. But he never marketed it.
At all.
Let's move on to Dead of Slim Shady, Eminem. I mean, it's Eminem. He was going to get nominated.
He was going to get nominated.
But, like...
It was kind of just an all-over-the-place album that I think people will forget about in later
compared
years,
to what he's put out.
Compared to his really amazing works that he's done in the past.
Right. We go on to We Don't Trust You. Now, We Don't Trust You was a great album. It was a great album. But I feel like after the beef, after, like, you know, kind of got overshadowed by the Like That record. Yeah. And they also dropped another album a couple weeks after.
Future also dropped like his own
stuff. So like there was just a lot going on, and I personally, people might disagree. You watching, you might disagree, but I personally did not see push for that record. Like, because I feel like people don't really understand that when you are nominated for something, you campaign for it. Like, not every artist is Beyonce, and even Beyonce still has to campaign. So when you're nominated for something, it's a recognition, but you gotta kind of campaign for it, especially if you're like a newer artist, you know, and
especially if you're not really that well recognized within the industry.
Exactly,
you have to push yourself and promote yourself.
Promote it, and out of everyone on this list, Doechii was doing it. She literally was the only one that did that.
She wanted it so bad.
I'm telling you.
Even like Common and Pete Rock, which was one of my favorite rap albums of the year.
Yeah.
They didn't push that album the way that Doechii did it, like quadruple the amount of times that everybody else did.
She was just performing all the time, bringing her A game. You might never have heard of Alligator Bites Never Heal like 6 months prior to the Grammys, but I bet you by the Grammy day, you knew who she was.
From her performance alone.
Exactly.
She knew she needed to mark her territory on this industry. She needed to know that she was going to leave a stamp.
So I think, for me, I personally think a lot of pushback on Doechii comes from the fact that people look at this roster on paper. You have Eminem, you have J. Cole, you have Future, Metro. I mean, these are veterans.
You have veterans.
Basically. So it's like,
who's this?
How dare you? Like, how dare you? So I feel like that's also kind of the pushback.
100%.
People just were like, this is unnatural. But like, I always tell people, you know, when we're talking about music and conversations, let's just use facts, not feelings. I get the fact that we always feel, you know.
It's not everything to just have a name. Your music also has to speak for you, and it can't just be the music that you dropped 20 years ago.
That is true.
It's got to be the music that you're putting out now, because it's not. Eminem's not nominated for Marshall Mathers LP.
Exactly. He's nominated for this one. Right. So people are like, he's a GOAT. Yes. Yeah, okay. No one's denying that.
Nobody's denying that.
But it's like, I'm sorry. You know, so I feel like that's one aspect. And even apart from Doechii, I mean, recently over the years, there's so many other examples. Like, we talk about Tyla.
Yeah.
You know, really quick trajectory. We talk about people like Billie Eilish.
Yep.
I mean, people like Tommy Richman.
Yeah. Even Thames at a point was being called an industry plant because of Future and Drake.
That is ridiculous. I think that was the most ridiculous one.
You know, Higher and that mixtape had not been out for about like 2-3 years.
But that goes back to our point about the bubbles. You know, the bubbles. But I want to talk about Tommy Richman.
Speak.
I want to talk about Tommy Richman. Do you think Tommy Richman's an industry plant?
No. And I think the reason I don't is because he has had like some successful songs throughout his like trajectory. He was featured on Brent Faiyaz's album a few years back,
but not to the level of $1 Million Baby though.
That is true. But I don't think. See, the thing is, what typically happens with industry plants or people being called industry plants is because of social media. And I will bring that back to like TikTok. And when a song blows up there with an artist that someone might not be familiar with on the outside of a particular bubble, they'll start to say, I've never heard of this artist before. It must be an industry plant, because how do you have X amount of streams? This can't be possible.
I think Tommy Richman's case was very. I think there was a shock because, like, think of this: the beef was at its peak, and that song still went to the top of the charts. I think that was insane.
Yes.
Like, especially an artist that, let's say, Nicki dropped a song that went to the top of the charts. No one's gonna bat an eye. It's like, we know you.
Like, it's not like it's Beyonce.
That's what I'm saying.
It's not. It was someone
Tommy Richman
who was a part of a smaller bubble that not a lot of people was in tune with and a part of.
That's what I'm saying. Because, to be honest, I'd been seeing Tommy Richman's. I would like to say, because, like, I'm tapped into the underground hip-hop space. I don't know. Is Tommy Richman hip-hop?
An artist.
Let's just say artist, you know, the underground space. And his name was a name I kept seeing. Like, at least for a couple years before $1 Million Baby. But $1 Million Baby happened to really blow up.
Yes.
And I
People
think
wanted to make that the summer song.
And
that's the thing.
That's what I'm saying. So there's a recent trend with the industry plant allegations I've been seeing when there's an artist that is on a certain level. And when they're on that level, people are like, oh my, like before $1 Million Baby, when I would put people on to Tommy Richman, they'd be like, oh my God, this guy is cool. Like, he's making cool music. But then you kind of just, there's that upwards boom trajectory. And then people are suddenly asking, how did you get there? Like, how'd you get there so quickly? There's an issue.
And I think I'm going to bring this back to streaming and Spotify specifically, because what I've noticed is when I try to put people onto a certain artist, I'll show them their profile. They'll take a look at their monthly Spotify listeners. And if that is not over 1 million, they won't even bother.
That's lame, actually.
And it's so lame. It's so annoying.
Especially with how fickle that number is.
But then when that artist does, you know, all of a sudden they blow up 3 months later, suddenly they want to start listening.
Is there even an issue with industry plants? Let's be honest.
That's the thing.
Is there an issue with industry plants?
Is there a problem with the label doing its job?
But what I'm trying to say is, so an industry plant was, you know, someone that was backed by a record label secretly, and people didn't really know that.
Realize that they were independent.
Right. If you look back at how the music industry has always been, so many of our favorite artists were planted.
Yes.
It's fact.
Yes.
You know, so I don't even think that term is as negative as people like.
The thing is, you kind of need the industry in order to be successful nowadays.
You need to play the game to some degree.
You need to have a feature. You need to have someone vouching for you, whether that's a label or a huge artist. Like, I remember
or a fan base that rides like
that
crazy
rides to the dawn for
you. Yeah,
like, you need to have something going for you in order for you to reach that sort of mainstream success.
I also feel like another reason why this industry plant conversation, this term has just gained so much, I don't know, traction lately. It's because someone probably heard one of their favorite music commentators use that term, and that's what happens to the internet. You know, people are using words every day that people really don't know the meaning of. Like, there is a literacy problem. I'm sorry to say,
especially on platforms like Twitter or even TikTok. Like, people start to recycle the same 5 music words,
opinions,
and
too.
They don't even really know what they're saying anymore. And I feel like that's a conversation for another day, but
that has to have its own episode.
Yes, it's going to have its own episode. But I think that it started to become a problem where people would hear their favorite commentator say something and then start recycling it.
That same thing.
And then someone else recycles it, and so on and so forth. And now we've lost the plot.
There are people that are very uninformed and they're on one spectrum, but I think on the other end of the spectrum is just a lack of trust.
Yes.
I think maybe audiences might appreciate a lot more transparency. I feel like that's why these terms have kind of come into, have had a huge resurgence lately, because there's just a lack of trust. Like, we don't know what is being pushed to us. We don't really know what is an ad anymore.
Right.
And it's getting harder to tell every day. So people, I feel like people just want to be ahead of the curve a little and be able to distinguish and be like, that's fake. And sometimes they might be wrong. And I think that's where the issues come in when people take their biases and hide it under something.
Yes.
I would say the fans have contributed to the whole industry plan conversation. In fact, maybe the largest contributor, but I don't think we can blame the fans only.
Yeah, I think that sometimes the labels, I
Yes.
think they're part of the blame as well.
They're part of the problem. In what way?
I think that sometimes they might push an artist a little bit too quick. I won't name any names specifically, but I think when an artist is still in that development stage, specifically with still trying to find the sound that works for them, and an artist is like, okay, no, but we need you out here in the mainstream. I'm going to push you to this extent.
We're going to give
and
you
they're
all
not
the
there
radio
yet.
play in the
Yeah.
world.
And then they start to make things that sound generic, that aren't really authentic to them. And that's when the fans start to draw back.
I definitely have seen some artists pop up really recently. And for me, it's not even as much as the marketing, but it's as much as the authenticity. Because one thing nowadays, when labels want to push an artist, is if you notice, audiences are not really connecting with just the music anymore.
Yeah.
People
It's
are
the
connecting with the person.
persona.
Exactly. The personality of the artist, the persona. And I could always tell when a label is... Sometimes I look at an artist, and sometimes you might go back to your old work, and you're like, there's a disconnect here. This persona isn't giving authentic.
Yeah.
I feel like you can literally see the gears turning behind the scenes, and I feel like
Yeah, but
Yeah.
I think it's also interesting because it's not always a bad thing. I kind of like when artists start to step into different characters and step into different personas when they come to dropping an album. Like when Beyonce had Lemonade and then going to like something like Cowboy Carter.
I get that, but that's not kind of what I'm talking about. I feel like even though Beyonce made Lemonade and made Cowboy Carter, she's still Beyonce.
True.
I still feel like she was Beyonce on all those albums. But there's some artists that, I listen to and I'm like, this isn't... When did this start? And it doesn't even feel authentic. Like, So I feel like, there's a lot of skepticism. I'm going to be very honest. Like last year, because my music taste is heavily hip hop, heavily R&B. So I'm not super tapped into the pop sphere as much as I would love to. So I kept hearing the name Chappell Roan. I'm like, who is Chappell Roan? Like I'm hearing this name for the first time. And like the song, the Pink Pony Club, everyone was singing it every time I'd be in like Ubers, they're playing the radio. I'm like hearing this song. I'm like, who the hell is Chappell Roan? And initially I was like, is this just another
Pop artist.
like
pop
not
girly.
even pop girly, but is this just another industry plant? Because like that meme where it's like, where did you even spawn
Where'd you
from?
come from?
So
Yeah.
I was legit like, I've never heard this name in my life. What is going on here? But then that's why I say nuance comes in. I actually went and I was like, okay, I didn't go on Twitter.
That's the wrong place.
This Chappell Roan blowing up. There's something sketchy about
Who
her.
even is she?
She's giving industry plant. I actually went to just look it up, and I found out that this girl's been releasing music since like
For a while.
I was humbled.
That Pink Pony Club has actually been out a couple years
I was
now.
humbled. Like the album, and it was very similar to Doechii.
Yeah.
Like the album came out in like 2023, and it sold like peanuts first week. And then it climbed almost up to the top of the Hot 100 last year.
Yeah.
So I just feel like Billboard 200 rather, not Hot 100. Hot 100 too. That's how big the song was. But I think that just goes to show that it's okay to be skeptical. It's not a crime to be like, we don't know everything. That goes back to the bubbles.
Yes.
But don't be afraid to like...
To learn more.
Yeah. Before you talk. It's just the current climate too. Like you mentioned about, there's people that would see an artist and they look at the number of monthly listeners and you're like, I'm not listening to you
Yeah.
because you don't have this many artists. I feel like because nowadays those numbers are so transparent to us. Like in the past, like we didn't know those numbers. So if you saw an artist playing on MTV Base, like you weren't gonna see, how are they legit? Let me go check how many monthly listeners they have right now.
Exactly.
So I feel like just that overload of information is just playing such a huge role. People are so tempted to believe that an artist's career starts when they've blown up.
Yeah.
But that's not the reality. Like
Yeah.
artists could be building for years. I genuinely believe that a huge chunk of people making music have been making music for years. People put shit up on SoundCloud and other stuff. So I just feel like as music consumers, as people that want to be intentional about just music conversations, should just really understand nuance and kind of don't be afraid to research and don't be afraid to be wrong,
Yeah.
you know?
And especially, like,
Yeah.
peeling back the layers. That's
Simply.
the important part. Like, okay,
Yeah.
why is this
Right.
a certain way it is right now?
We could do a million episodes about this, but I feel like the state of the music conversations right now, just a lot of people speaking without just knowing what they're talking about.
Yes.
You know, unfortunately, that's the case, but, you know, that's why For the Record is a thing.
Yep.
That's why we're getting on wax,
Yes.
you know.
Keeping it real.
Keeping it real.
And setting the record straight. Definitely whenever, like, some situations are circulating on the internet and it's something that speaks to us, you will be seeing our faces.
These faces are not going
Yes.
anywhere. Because we have a lot more episodes coming.
A
So
lot.
if you're seeing this, click that subscribe button. Please join the For the Record community on Twitter. With these episodes, we're going to be having a lot of crossover between what people are saying in the community and what we are saying on here. So if you ever want to have your opinion, like, you know, you want us to chop it up on the show,
Follow the community.
yeah,
And we will hear you.
of course. So thank you, Nosa.
Thank you, Elsie.